And let alone him texting a group chat saying, I'm sicky poo.
Ooh, that's the worst part. That's the worst part.
Or I have a bad case of the sniffles.
No.
Not as bad as sicky poo, but pretty bad.
Hello, and welcome back to the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. How are you? How you feeling?
I'm good. I mean, it's that like Tuesday before we're recording this early, Tuesday before the holiday weekend, getting that you're about to have some time off.
Tuesday before the holiday is like both stressful and exciting, right? Because you're stressful because you're like, I'm walking into like family time, but I'm also like, get me away from like, I can ignore all the responsibilities I have within the next few hours. Like after we're done here, I just get on a plane and I am off to Florida.
Yeah.
Just ready to sit on the beach.
Love it.
And get told about how fat I look.
Are you taking
for
some
a
time
week?
off?
Well, not really.
That doesn't sound like a vacation.
No.
But that actually brings me to an interesting thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're saying you're going home to be told all the things that are wrong with you.
Sure. It will be some sort of mental ping pong. Like I'll get, slammed on. I'll have to hit it back. It's like, the best example of like going home and like this like weirdness of like what you're going to have to deal with and what might trigger you is like, I have to like say hi to all my parents' friends. Like there's like an element of that.
You're like every day is a wedding cocktail hour.
Jordana,
every day.
You just explained my parents' community.
Wow.
Every day is a wedding cocktail hour. You remember Frank. You remember, Stacy. You remember.
Kind of sounds like hell.
It is a version of hell. I don't know. Maybe I don't realize how bad it is. Maybe like, it's
You're
like.
so used to it.
Like pain threshold? Like some people have like no pain. Like I have maybe a lot of pain threshold because like. But I like all the people I interact with there. Like I enjoy
Maybe you enjoy it then.
Maybe I do.
You do enjoy the beach.
I like the beach. I like the.
It's like every day is a destination wedding.
It really is. And like someone will come up to me, like so, like you'll have a guy or woman or man come up to you and go, Jared, good to see you, and you're like, hopefully you remember their name, and then they'll be like, looking good. And if it's within earshot of my dad, like God forbid he hears someone compliment me, because then he goes into like a 10-minute like comedy routine about how awful I look. But it's like, it's so be like, you look good. You lose some weight. He's like, and then like my dad, like, it's like a dog whistle goes off. He's like, lose weight. This guy, he's probably lifted at the buffet. And I'm like, how about like, so like the worst thing that can happen is a compliment. Like I just want like nothing.
I was going to say it's nice because then he's like, oh, other people think you're.
No, he has to go. He can't trust. My dad cannot trust that I would not let my head get too big from one compliment.
That's why he's doing it to like take you down a notch because no one else will.
That's what it feels like. That he's like.
Does he ever say like?
He's like, Jared can't believe he's lost a lot of weight. Maybe he's lost a little, but he can't get like crazy, and he has to like bring me down. Even though I do a good job of bringing myself down to earth.
I mean,
on my own.
Do you think that like that? Why do you think he does that? Because he's so afraid that you're gonna be like a monstrous egomaniac.
I guess that
Does he do that to your brother?
I don't know. I have to ask Harry. I don't know. He's fucking with me. It's half fucking with me. It's half. I think also like he knows that when he gets a compliment, it like allows him to eat.
Okay.
So I think maybe he's like protecting me. Like that's my most empathetic way of looking at it. Like where he's like, don't let that get to your head, Jared, in the way it would get to my head. Like so it's a little bit like I do think it's him. I know most times someone attacks you or does something that you go, what the fuck?
Right.
It's their insecurities
their own shit
playing out in real time. So like, and also I know how hard that is for people during the holiday season to like understand that. Like, I don't know. That's my first move is to like go, yeah, that's what or to go back at him. And like, now I just make fun of him for doing that.
Now you're okay.
So like, I've always like, he'll be like, oh, at the buffet. And I look at him, I go, and then I just look at the other guy. I go, I'm obese. I'm absolutely, I'm lucky to be walking right now. And then like, then we try to move on, but it is this, like, I do try to move on from it. Like I was showing you a TikTok that like came up on my feed.
Yeah.
Should we play it?
Well, on that before we get to it, does he ever say anything like really nice to you, like super proud
of
of
course.
you, like
Yeah,
you look great?
yeah, but like I just think it's like, those aren't as memorable as
Right.
some
Like
guy,
internet comments.
some rando
Yeah.
who's like, "Hey, Jared, looking good, looking good." Like he like pops out of a cake.
Like only I can say,
Right,
if you're looking good.
Right, it's like I don't know. I'd have to like be like honestly, it feels like I'd have to be like on my deathbed, like skinny.
Mm-hmm.
For someone to go looking good, and he go, yeah, hopefully, he's doing okay.
The treatment has,
Yeah, no, he's hopefully he doesn't go back on the
Then
bad.
it would be like, oh, he's too thin.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. I saw this TikTok. I don't like to like bathe in. I think a lot of women like to do this.
You
to
don't
tell
like
the truth.
therapy. This is why
I don't like the idea of looking back and like, going, here's 17 things that happened to me because I have a good life.
Well,
I think when I hear people complain about like all their like kind of like,
childhood shit. Men hate looking back.
Hate it.
Well,
that's the thing. When you see
looking
these
back.
TikToks of, this is why I get like, I grimace at these TikToks that are like.
Well, you're looking at TikTok therapy.
I know, but I'm just saying it is a version of like, it is something. It's, like you'll see someone get out of a breakup and then they're like doing the lip sync of like, oh, you guys are about to get the tea. And they're like doing like the sassy head nod. And all the comments are women like, tell us what happened. Like I was looking at someone
we like drama. We're social creatures.
Right. And I look at that and I go, why wouldn't you just walk away from this? Like, move on, let it go, put it in the past.
No,
like,
we need to analyze until we die.
I grew up with so many women that like, close friends growing up, and their first move was always like, let's get out. Like you would be in middle school or high school, and they're like, let's get out the old movies where we all look like shit and make fun of how awful we were back then. And I'm like, that sounds like the worst activity in the world. I don't want to watch myself and feel embarrassed of how I acted.
I could see that, but I also think I think you're seeing the TikTok version of therapy, which is not like the real version of therapy. Most therapists will sort of like stop you from like constantly replaying the past. They only go back to it as it relates to some sort of thing that you're doing now, and like gives you a reason for what you're doing now, and also like lets you know you don't have to do that anymore.
Right. This isn't like me against therapy.
Although you do seem against therapy.
I understand it for people. I talk a lot about myself already, and I don't know. It's it never really felt like something I was like looking to get into.
And I think
I think it helps people, but I don't know. Like I think a lot of men feel that they're like, it's a waste of time. I'd rather just like go work, and whatever amount of money I make will make up for whatever horrific thing happened in my past. Like,
right. Well, that's how you become Elon Musk.
Well, it's true. You hope you keep some awareness along the way, but I think that's like a very male thought of like, let me just work my way out of this. Like, let me get success and. And I do think like doing well for your family and for your children is part of that. Like it's not a selfish plight. I know a lot of guys with happily married men who are probably doing something similar, but for their greater good of their family.
Do you feel that like any of those, like that relationship that you have with your parents or any kind of like way you were, and this kind of brings us to the TikTok that you were looking at. Do you feel like that affects the way that you date now, or like?
Well, so the TikTok I saw that I was like, wow, she kind of like nailed it. Mm-hmm. Like I was
let's
play it.
Yeah,
because I remember like I was always like the referee a little bit, or pulled in to be the referee in my like in family arguments. So like
your parents' arguments.
Yeah. So okay. I kind of like this kind of spoke to me.
What kind of thing were they fighting about?
Whatever married people fight about. I'm not married. What do you fight about?
Fight about like poor communication, or you weren't listening, or you forgot to get this, or I don't like your tone.
Yeah, that, but like, less thoughtful than that.
But like, what would you be how could you be helping with that?
I think
Like Jared
again,
was right?
I agree. How could I help at
Yeah.
10 years old? I think that's crazy.
Right.
But I think, like, I'm not saying this was the right way
It's
to
like
go.
in Wet Hot American Summer where Molly Shannon is like getting
I
the
was
advi-
that kid.
Really?
I swear to
She's
God.
talking about her breakup?
She's talking about her breakup, and I was kind of the kid, like, you know, I don't know. I think they're going through some stuff. I was doing this podcast at 10 years old.
Right. I
you know?
mean, yeah, I think that's why we do what we do. I was also
Right.
very much in the middle of my parents fighting.
Right. So I saw this TikTok. Ready? The men's coach is her name on TikTok. Let's give her Plug City.
Check her out.
Tend to have a really hard time with emotions and avoid conflict at any cost. He will become a chameleon for his partner and wear a mask for the people around him. He grew up as the peacekeeper, so anytime someone is upset, he usually takes responsibility for it, blames himself if they're not happy. It becomes incredibly difficult for him as an adult because he struggles to understand what he actually wants and execute on it. He battles with himself about feeling guilty for hurting them and doing what he actually wants. He also has a really hard time letting go of relationships, even if logically he knows he doesn't want them. This is a result of our self-worth being based upon the emotional stability of others. If we can make sure everyone else is okay, then we feel good about ourselves. But the second the people around us are unhappy or upset, we take responsibility for that, and suddenly we see ourselves as not good enough. As an adult, we perpetuate the childhood wounding we experienced. So to heal this, we have to validate that inner child that had that experience and help him understand that other people's emotions are not his responsibility, and he will, of course, be okay if others are not happy and it's not his fault. Men who grew up as
Now-
Wow. That sounds a lot like you.
It's right. This is similar to my
Yeah.
issues. I heard this, but I don't. First of all, it's a very complimentary way to look at myself. If I'm to be honest,
Right,
I
well, all of these things sort of-
That's,
a lot of
this
these
is my
things
problem
are,
with
right,
therapy
yeah.
or with TikTok therapy is like, there's
But
someone
you don't have to
listening.
take any accountability.
Right, there's someone listening and watching being like, Jared, I guess it's all everyone else's fault. And it's also like, I wish they would play happier music. I wish the music was a little bit like, why not play a little like Maroon 5 or something? Like,
Right.
just like this, like,
Yeah, I agree. The music
why am I
is
going to
very
kill myself?
melodramatic.
Yeah, it's a little bit much. But I did hear the words behind it of
It
like,
felt real.
well, I guess and we've talked about this about me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not to make everything about me, but I'm saying like, we've talked about like, especially in the benefits episodes, this like feeling upset that someone else is going to feel upset.
Yeah, that seems like a huge thing for you.
Right. And I've always called it like an ego thing. I think like too highly
Because
of
you
myself.
don't. Well, I mean, some TikTok therapists would say that it's actually like somewhat of a selfish thing because it's like you don't want to have to feel the bad thing. So it's about like how you feel. It's not really about how they feel.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's selfish, but I'm just saying like
it's
I
a
think
mix
that
of the
there's
two.
yeah,
The truth
right.
is somewhere in the middle. I would say.
Everything we do is to feed our own needs in some way or another, whether it's direct or indirect.
Well, right. And her saying like holding on to relationships too long, like I'm the king of that. Like,
Right.
and that's not, again, now I'm going back to say like to any ex who's listening, I didn't hold on too long. I did.
Yeah,
I could have done things a month earlier in all breakups.
Right.
So it's I
It's
don't know. I see
it's
this stuff.
interesting. I think it's
Yeah.
Is it helpful to the extent that could it be helpful to the extent that when you realize that's happening, you realize it's like this old coping mechanism and doesn't serve you anymore, and you don't need to do it anymore?
Well, that's the thing. Like, I guess, like, when I hear that, I go, I'm not just like automatically, oh, okay. Now that I know it's
I
a
won't do
thing,
that
I won't do
anymore.
that anymore.
Right.
Like, I don't know what the fix is, but
Well-
I guess that's what you would say the therapy's for.
Right.
Is they would be like,
Well, like get into it, yeah,
get into it.
and like
but-
learn like coping mechanisms. It's not like the therapy. They're not just like and don't just don't do it. It's like you like play it.
They don't just
through.
say no.
Yes.
No. That's not like half a therapy.
No, that's not how it goes. I just started a new therapist.
How's it been going?
I've only done 2 sessions, but so far it's pretty good.
Does it take a while to kick in? Is that 2 sessions
Well,
not enough?
I
Like-
actually feel like it's like the beginning is like amazing. Like the first few sessions are usually like great because you're just like spilling everything
Right.
that you like, that you're kind of like releasing all this like shit that you've been like thinking for a while.
Mhm.
And then once you're like doing the real work, I
Mm.
find it becomes like slow. It feels like a little slow.
Right.
And
like
then-
most things,
Right.
it's like, yeah, the fun part is like, let me tell you everything
Like
about my
word
life.
vomit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes, and then once like you have to make the actionable changes, then it gets like a little slower. But then once you see your life actually changing, it's like nice. It kind of does. It is like a slow burn.
Right. I guess to me, it's a little like I took a golf lesson, and I remember in the beginning, like you're just hitting a bunch of balls, you hit, and then she was helping me, like she's like, move this, move that, move this, and I was like incredibly uncomfortable, and then I started like sucking.
Yeah, you have to
And
feel
then I
terrible
right.
before you feel good.
And then I walked away, and like a few like times later, I'm like, oh, all the things that she said, like it started to move more comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah.
Well, that's the other part of it is sort of like putting yourself in this uncomfortable. Because I was actually, it's funny because the therapist that I'm seeing now is very different style than the therapist that I saw for a lot of my relationship issues for like, I don't know, like 8 years I saw him, like 6 years, 8 years, something like that. And he's very like no bullshit, like wouldn't really let me feel sorry for myself, like very much like, but like, you know, you'd always feel okay at the end of the session, which I liked. And this woman is much more like warm and like a little coddly, I would say. And when I started it, I don't like that doesn't feel very comfortable to me.
Okay.
So when I started the session, I was like, my immediate thought was like, this isn't gonna work. This isn't gonna be a match. But then by the end of the session, I felt like super like cared for.
Right.
And it was really nice. And I was like, maybe I had to feel really uncomfortable to get to the other side of this.
Do you think, I guess do you think it's like different parts of life kind of need a different type of therapist?
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe you needed the hard love guy when you were dating, and now you need like the nurturing
now
woman.
I need like a new mom.
Right. That can like tell
who's
you
like
it's
my
okay.
age. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I'm not.
And I go into it like I need you to be really insightful because I have a dating podcast, so I know everything.
I have to go repeat this shit.
Right. Well,
and
that's
make it funny.
Well, that's how I get my money's worth. But I mean, that's kind of another true part of it, which is why I think you'd enjoy therapy, just because you can take everything they say and basically regurgitate it in your own funnier way.
I don't want to do that. Like I hear other podcasts do that about our show.
At least in this case, the therapist gets paid.
Yeah, fair.
You know?
At least, yeah.
So,
Well, what are we talking about today?
what are
As
we
I change the
talking about?
subject from me going to therapy to something
What
else.
name like 3 things you'd rather do than go to therapy?
Sleep, eat, fuck.
3 negative things that you'd rather do. Would you rather go to the dentist?
Yes.
Would you is there anything you would not want to do more than
It's not,
would you
it's
rather
not
date
like-
would you rather date someone for 6 months, go all in? You've been on
No,
3 dates.
I'd rather
with?
go to therapy. If it could fix that, but I don't think I would turn into this guy that's like chopping off women's heads. I just don't see like that happening. Like,
I know, I think you turn into a guy who like is open to a like real long-term relationship.
right, maybe.
You're like, why are you chopping off?
Oh.
Why would the therapy help you
I thought it was going to help me break up sooner.
break up sooner so that you can invest in
in the right
person?
All right, let's get to the emails.
Maybe we can expense it. I'll come with you.
Can we videotape
I'll
it
come
and
with
put it
you.
on as a podcast?
I
That'd
mean, you could.
I'm down. I've given myself. I've given my body. I've given my soul.
No, because then you wouldn't be able to be as honest as you. That's the other part of it,
Right.
because you're paying them, because it's so private. Is you
Right.
could say things that you like wouldn't say on
Right.
this show because either you're dating someone and they would find it offensive, or it's just something that like doesn't sound like the nicest thing to say.
Yeah. No, I noticed that when like I worked with matchmaker Maria to like do when she would like set me up on dates.
Mm-hmm.
How weird it was to like, she was like, so what'd you think? And I was like, and she's like, no, tell me what you really thought. And I'm like,
yeah.
you're not taping this? Listen, if you want to help me pay for therapy, I am on the road. I'm going to be in Des
Do a
Moines.
GoFundMe.
Yes, this is a version of GoFundMe. Des Moines, Iowa this weekend. Batavia, Illinois. These are like workout shows. So like I'll be doing new material from the Family Business Store. I've taped it at this point. It's going to be all new, hopefully. Portland, Oregon, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. And then I go to Auckland, New Zealand, Sydney, Australia, Newcastle, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, and then Rochester, New York. Oh, that'll be a reality check. JaredFree.com for tickets. Go. I'm also putting on my YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, if you go to my YouTube channel, I comment on all the You Up YouTubes. Every Saturday night, I'm putting out like a longer thing of crowd work. And it's like,
Ooh.
it's kind of awkward. It's kind of fun.
Is the crowd work like a roasting of the audience, essentially?
Not really. It's like more just like awkward things that happen. I'm not like, hey, what do you do? And then they're like, I'm an accountant. I'm like, you fucking loser. Like, I'm like, that's not like my style, I hope.
Right. That's your dad's style.
That's my dad. You look great. My dad pops out. He's a fat fuck. So then, no, I had one where like, I'm like, does anyone, like, I'm not like, when I do crowd work, it's because something happens where someone's being kind of an asshole or loses themselves. Asshole's a strong word. So like I have one up there where the guy's like, I went to Europe alone because that's like kind of what I'm talking about on stage right now. And this guy goes, I go, does anyone travel alone? And some guy's like, I'm too old for that. I was like, that's the saddest response
Oh, yeah.
I've ever heard.
Like, I'm not going anywhere else because I'm going to die soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and I go on a whole riff about like how sad his response was. And I'm like, that's something to put out there. And it was natural and whatever. So I'm putting up like I went to Raleigh. And I'm like, it didn't seem like anyone was from Raleigh. So I like asked people in the front. The whole front row was not from Raleigh. So like I have a whole thing on that. So it's just like, it's like the stuff in the beginning of a show or during the weird moments of a show that I'm just like putting up. Like you can't put on TikTok.
Right.
So it's like 2 to 5 minutes. The goal is I would love to do like a whole 10-minute set of just like all that type of shit. But
well, guys, check it out.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into the emails. What are we talking about today?
Let's do it. Holiday parties.
Holiday party. Tis the season for a holiday party. The awkwardness, the fun. The holiday parties are fun. This is also like the adult equivalent of like, not equivalent, but like the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. The holiday party is kind of that opportunity. People see it as an opportunity.
Well, you're about to like not see everyone every day for a few weeks, which is
Right.
nice. Are these jeggings, by the way?
I just talked about how much I love these pants.
No, I think they're cool.
You
I
can't
like
say
them.
that after these jeggings.
They look like jeans, but then the bottom is like cuffed.
So
That's a jeggings thing,
I just told Shannon, keep this in. I just told Shannon that I came in here, I go, when you find like a pair of pants that you haven't worn forever and you're like, maybe I'll try them out.
I like them.
Thank you. They're called
Match as well.
Plug City UB.
Okay.
I bought them during the pandemic and I was like, oh, these are like khakis, but they're like comfortable. So I'm flying today. So I put them on and I'm like really happy about them. But yeah, they're like
insulted that I called them jeggings?
No, that's funny. It's funny because I literally said to Shannon before I was like talking about how much I'm like loving these pants, but I just had them.
Yeah. It's great. It's like you discovered a whole,
brand new outfit.
Yeah. That's like finding $20 in your pocket.
Right. And I wore them on the flight to Tulsa and now I'm wearing them now for my flight and I'm just happy as a clam.
Wow. We should all be this happy.
In my jeggings.
I love it. All right.
Are those jeggings? Yes.
When I see a cuff at the bottom,
they're
I'm
khaki
like,
joggers.
Okay, khaki joggers. Hi, JJ. Love the
Jackies.
Jared's khakis.
Joe, jogger
jegging khakis. I love the pod.
Packers.
One day we will do an email. One day.
Sorry.
Okay. Hi, JJ.
Oh, I gotta take a shit. No. Okay.
I love the pod and all the helpful advice you share. It's been a lifesaver more than once. I'm hoping you can help me with a tricky situation I'm dealing with. I'm bringing my new boyfriend to a work party soon, but I'm a little nervous. We don't do that. We don't do +1s anymore.
No. Oh, you don't?
That's a small company thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you did at one point?
We did. Like, again, when we were smaller.
Oh, that was easier when you were smaller.
Yeah, because there was less people. Now it's like, it's double the
Well,
budget.
when you were smaller, you had to get the room anyways.
Yeah.
We got to fill it.
Got space.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm assuming this is a small company. I'm bringing my new boyfriend to a work party soon, but I'm a little nervous. My coworkers know about a previous boyfriend, and I'm worried they might accidentally bring up something about him in front of my new guy, like trying to make conversation with him using details about a previous guy. I really want to avoid any confusion or awkward moments. Do you have any tips for steering the conversation or setting things up so it all goes smoothly? I'd love any advice you can share. Thanks so much. Professionally awkward, Batch.
I understand their plight. They kind of have to like be okay with like adults being adults.
I agree. I understand her issue in that sometimes you're like, they're like, this sort of like a wild card of like things people say, and there's like a fear of like something embarrassing coming out, but like you can't really like ask them not to say it because that feels even weirder.
Right.
You can't be like, oh, by the way, don't mention the other. Like it would be like, oh, why are you even asking this? That feels weird.
This is an email that I would expect from someone cheating on their spouse.
Right.
You know, not if you are, because listen, as someone, who I've brought women to shows. And when you go to shows, it's a lot of introductions. It's basically like bringing them to like a company party. This is so-and-so, introduce people, and you're polite. And if you come across someone new, the person that you brought, it's your responsibility. Introduce them to all the people that you come across. That's how I would think anyone would do it. So there is the thought of like someone being like, we've met before. And you going, no, we haven't met. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
And then there's
and
this
that
like,
happens sometimes.
that happens. And if you're not cheating, who cares?
Right.
Like if you're cheating.
You used to date someone else and someone's like, oh, have we met? It's whatever. That happened.
Right. My advice to this person is if I was dating someone who couldn't take awkwardness coming up between us, then you're not really going to get to know anyone. Like
Right.
you're like this whole, like, I need to plot the whole party so that everyone knows I'm bringing a new boyfriend and then everyone treats them with kid gloves. Like that's just not how you get to know someone.
Right. And again, I totally agree with you. She hasn't done anything wrong. She used to
Right.
date someone else. If someone got confused, fine.
Right.
Like if you went to a party, if you had a girlfriend, you went to her holiday party and someone was like, oh, like, yeah, we met at the last thing.
I would go,
That wasn't me.
I don't think that was me, but
Right.
nice to meet you. I'm Jared.
Right.
And then she would say, oh my God, that was so embarrassing. And I would say, you dated other people? You're not a virgin? And I'd make fun of it.
Right.
Because that's what I do. And,
Yeah.
and I would not in one way, because I'm confident enough to know that, like, yeah, everyone, you are who you are because of who you dated before. Like I get, there's a positive, anyone that would be like, mad that another
Right.
ex came up. Also, again, if this was more specific, if you were like, well, I
used to date someone at the office.
different story.
I'm right.
And even then,
Again, like as long as you're not currently hooking up with them, I think
if
it's
you're
fine.
bringing this guy, you go, hey, I used to hook up with a guy that I worked with. I just want to let you know. So if it, feels a little weird or icy between you and him, we're cool. Like, get in front of it in whatever way you can. But this is something you can't get in front of.
Right. And anyone who's like, again, I totally agree with you. If you have like a relationship that's intimate, that's like real, that's not like a surface level relationship, the person can deal with that.
Right. I just think, like, what's the worst case scenario? Oh, hey, Kevin. Oh, the last guy, she used to fuck him in the closet here. Like, what
Right.
is the worst? Can you imagine
Yeah.
like something bad happen?
And if
I
they
don't
get-
even understand what their, I do understand what their insecurities are, but like,
Well, it's more about the other person being insecure, right?
yeah, but if they're insecure, now you've learned something about them. Now you're getting to know who
Right.
they really
that they can't
are.
handle hearing about someone you used to date or
Right.
someone mentioning that.
Maybe it's okay to be turned off.
Yeah.
It's
and again, or an awkward moment.
Mm-hmm. It's okay to have an awkward moment. It's okay to be turned off. It's okay to have be turned off, then turned on again. I don't like how you handle that. Let's talk it out. And then
Again, brings you closer.
Right.
Gotta fight.
all of this shit, yeah. I'm just trying to think like, oh, Jordana, she used to fuck the office. Like, what do you think is going to...
I mean, that would be an awkward moment.
Right, and then I go, the whole office? I'd be like...
Well, it's like, do you see that episode of The Office where Jim is dating Karen and they go to the party and she's like fucking with him and she's like, every guy they meet, she's like,
Yes.
yeah, I slept with him. slept with him. And then
It's a-
eventually he's like, what's going on?
Yeah,
And then-
she breaks
right,
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that episode. And it's also why you believe that they're like a good couple that like can kind of go to bat with Jim and Pam.
Right.
Like the reason it's a well-written show is because it lives in some sort of reality.
Right. It's not like one's a monster and one's great.
Right. There were just two different choices that Jim could have gone with.
Right.
And that's interesting. That's a good point because you watch that scene and you're like, I never watched that scene and was like, how could you ever be at an office party? You're just like laughing. Like that's such
Right.
a fun thing for her to fuck with him about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like if and he's like a normal guy. So he's like, again, if you say it about like 6 people, fine. It's like a funny conversation.
Georgiana, new guy here
So,
every year with a new guy at the office party. Yeah, like, I mean, that's the worst it could be, and it's not even that bad.
Right, and that wouldn't happen.
Yeah. Let's do another email. Awkward encounter. You ready?
Yeah.
UUP@betches.com. Longtime listener, subscriber, event goer, etc. Enough time has passed to share this story here. On my first date with this guy in about 2017, we talked about loving Betches, so I just hope he's no longer a fan, haha. Well, we hope he's still a fan.
Yeah. Don't be so selfish.
I gotta pay for these therapy appointments.
And these jeggings.
I got a whole closet full of jeggings I haven't paid for yet. This was one of my first dates back after my first real breakup. And while I wasn't super into him, he seemed normal and my type on paper, so I said yes to date 2. He was getting into cooking and asked if I wanted to do a picnic on his roof, make dinner together for our second date. This was before I knew this was a classic line, but alas, I don't know if it's so classic. I guess the roof thing was made into a joke a few years ago. Come see my roof.
Yeah, I think we've done that.
Yeah, we talked about
There
it
is
here.
a New York City roof guy, 100%.
Okay.
Do you want to? I mean, I guess you haven't encountered him.
No.
But that is a thing.
I've been to some roofs.
If you're dating in New York, come back. My building's got a great roof. Is definitely
That's the prelude to a fuck.
to like we're hooking up on the roof.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it's private enough. It's also public enough where
It's also
safe.
like, right. I'm not asking you to come back to my apartment. I'm asking if you
Right.
want to see the roof.
Oh, I'm just making out on these streets and alleyways.
Find a guy with a good roof and ask him how many girls he's made out with.
A lot
on
of
that
rooftop
roof.
makeouts. So we make dinner and it's going okay. We finish the bottle of wine. He kisses me. Yada yada. We start having sex. It's about 2 seconds into sex and I realize I'm not into him.
That
But
happens.
It happens 2 seconds in.
Yes.
I'm already done.
2 seconds. Well, it can happen where you're like, it's happening, and then you're like, I'm here for the wrong reasons. Trying to get over this other guy. I really don't want to be here. It's too late.
Too late. He's sitting there in his head. He's going, "Don't come, just be cool, be cool." And you're sitting
And you're
there
like,
going,
I got to go back to therapy.
I'm gonna have to talk to this guy. He didn't even cook great.
Yeah.
But whatever at this point, I realize I'm not into him, but whatever at this point. And he does the whole thing and then makes a big noise and stops. So I asked him if he'd finish.
If you speak to any woman who's had sex with a guy that they are not into, they will that is the number one, I think, thing that they'll say about the sex, that he made too many noises.
It is such an unfair description of this sexual event to me.
That he groaned or made these noises, or
Right.
I've heard this every time I hear about a man's sexual noises. It's from a woman who's repulsed by this guy but he's still sleeping with him, but trying to get over a different guy.
Right. And I guess something that would go into that is she's not in her own head.
Right.
If a good sex, I would imagine she's gone to her place mentally. She's making noises in whatever way she does.
Yes.
So you're not really zoned in onto his noises.
Right. And she's not enjoying it, so she's just she hears you hear everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all, yeah. So this is really an unfair description.
It's not nice, but.
But what, listen to this sentence. It's about 2 seconds into sex and I realize I'm not into him. But whatever at this point, and he does this whole thing and then makes a big noise and stops. Can you imagine if a man described a sexual experience with a woman like this? It's about 2 seconds in, and I'm I can't believe I hooked up with this bitch.
That's the joy of being a man, though, is that you come every time.
Right.
And that there's sex is you could have sex with someone without mentally being so for us, it's different. You know what I mean? You're either really in or really out.
You're fucking out. This is the ick.
So that's why I don't think a man would describe having sex with a woman like that.
No.
Because I think it's
you're right.
They're enjoying themselves regardless.
Right. You could just be a pillow.
Yeah. I don't think this woman came.
Yeah.
I'm
fair.
guessing. Yeah.
So I asked him if he had finished. He said, "I don't know," he says, panting.
Is that a thing? Do you ever not know?
I don't know. If you're wearing a condom, there could be an element of that.
You're not sure.
If you're drunk.
Okay.
Me.
Well, they had the bottle of wine, so.
So I'll be him.
All right.
I don't know. He says, panting.
Okay.
Well, can you check?
Sorry, check?
Can you check the condom to see if I finished? Want to be clear, the way this is written down, it seems like this might have been sexual. It wasn't. He said he hadn't had a lot of sex with a condom on, so he wasn't sure what finishing with one was like. I don't know about that, dude.
Isn't there like a release either way if you've...
Right, I don't know. It's a little
Sounds
bit
like a bad
it's
orgasm.
a little dramatic.
Sure.
Upon investigation, LOL, he had indeed finished. And here, why couldn't he look himself?
I don't know.
And here is where there is another unexpected turn in the story. He goes down on me, and within mere seconds, I finish.
That sounds nice.
Oh, look at that.
Look at
Surprise,
that. I'm
surprise.
impressed considering she...
Good for this
hated
guy.
that.
This guy, through all the negative,
Yeah.
is this good at going down on women.
Impressive.
Wow. At the time, it was the only time I'd ever finished from that, so I was pretty shocked, and I didn't even need to check to be sure.
What would you check?
The combo was a little too weird for me, and I never saw him again. But to this day, my friends still bring up "Can you check guy" when we're reminiscing of our youth at the brunch table. With love and in search of more men who know whatever that guy did about going down. Quality control betch.
Okay.
Good sign off.
So the awkward part is that he asked her to check if he finished.
Right. Did I finish when he's wearing a condom? When he could just literally get up, go to the bathroom, and like look down.
Right.
It makes no sense.
Maybe he wanted to like keep going right away if he didn't.
I guess.
So he didn't want to like
right.
ruin the seemingly poor mood.
It's almost like he like stubbed his toe and he's like afraid of seeing blood and he's like, can you see
look?
if it's
Right.
bleeding?
Right.
You
You
know?
look. Is there a bug in there? You look.
Right.
Right.
It's a little bit like
I mean, to me, it's like I'm surprised that this guy wasn't redeemed through the end of this.
It is
that's
quite a
almost said as
magic-
a side note.
right. The idea that he got you off after this, like
Yeah, he did everything he
Kudos.
needed to do. He
right.
didn't do anything wrong.
A gentleman.
Indeed. A keeper, maybe, to some people. One woman's
One
can you
did-
check is another woman's.
check please.
What
I
is
don't
that?
know. Is that the sassy way to put it?
Can you check?
Can you check?
All right, let's do another one.
Let's do an email. Go.
J&J, love you guys. Been looking for an excuse to write in, and unfortunately, I finally have one.
Oh no.
I, 30 female, have been dating this guy, 33 male, for about 3 months. Things have been good, but I've recently noticed one thing that I can't unsee. Almost every single conversation we have where I bring up an experience that I want to share, he takes the conversation and leads it in a totally different direction centered around his own experience that is sometimes only slightly related. It feels like he completely misinterprets what I'm sharing in order to relate it to something he's been through. When I question if he was listening to me before derailing the conversation, he completely asserts that he was and is able to repeat what I had said, but it sometimes feels like the meaning was lost on him in lieu of him being able to talk about himself. I've tried my best to talk to him about this without straight up calling him egocentric, and he says it feels like I'm trying to silence him. He wants to share something about himself in that moment because the time to bring it up might not happen again. And that a conversation is supposed to be about two people going back and forth, and it's not fair for me to monologue without him being able to get a word in.
They need to break up.
That's what I was going to say.
This is like, I mean, like, this is like.
It's funny. They're like, everything's great except for we have no chemistry.
Right.
Like,
What is great?
except for our conversations are awful.
Right.
Like,
Everyone says the key to a good relationship is communication. You can't do that.
right. It's also just like your communications, like they just don't mesh. Like you don't like him.
Right.
I think that's what she's not realizing is like she's describing this thing, which would be like, I don't really like this person. Like if I met a friend out and this is the kind of conversation we'd have, I'd be like, yeah, we don't really get along.
Right. Why do I talk to this person?
Right. Let
Yeah.
alone like someone you're supposed to be like with all the time.
Right. I'm going to avoid that person.
Am I wrong to want to be able to talk about something in my life happening to me without him relating it to his own life 100% of the time? It feels like he's completely unable to put himself in my shoes and instead almost mansplains the situation to me based on a vaguely related thing that happened to him one time 5 years ago.
You hate him. I mean, like, this is like.
She's like, how do I fix this thing with this person I hate to make them my boyfriend?
Right. Like, this is like so far down the river of like not liking someone.
Right.
That like I don't even know how to answer this.
And
like,
it's 3 months in. It's not like, oh, he suddenly developed this habit. This
right.
is who he is.
We're married with 2 kids, own a home together. Also, he started to do this thing. That's not what this is. Right.
I don't want him to feel like he can't talk about himself, but why does the conversation always have to be about him? feel like I'm going crazy. Is he gaslighting me or am I being selfish? Besides this, I do think he's a great communicator.
What?
We have loads in common. He's eager to work through issues with me and definitely really likes me a lot. So I'm not sure if this is a big enough issue to warrant a breakup. How can I talk to him about this in a way where he won't feel attacked? Is this fixable or do we totally have different communication styles? Signed, silencer or silenced?
I don't know. Listen, I believe the emailer. I'm not here to blame the victim here who's writing into us. I don't know if they're annoying, if the guy's annoying.
We'd have to have you both in the room to decide which of you is the annoying one.
Right. I need to like sit at a table and go and then take a gavel. Dung, 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 dung. Annoying.
All that matters, though, is that you both find each other annoying.
Right.
And it's too early to find each other annoying. You need to
way too early.
You need to earn that right.
Right. Right. You're like, he's a great communicator, but he's not.
Right. Because you guys are like fighting poorly through this.
He talks a lot, seemingly.
Yes, that talking a lot does not mean you're a great communicator.
Right. And you're not having fun in these conversations. Like,
right. And it sounds like they're happening quite often.
Right. So maybe it's time to like cut bait. You're like, and again, like this is like, so there were a couple people that took issue with me saying that like a lot of women will like just try and make something work no matter what. And you kind of feel like you have to be the one to be realistic and they get to be romantic.
Right.
She just did what I kind of said.
Yeah, this sounds like your biggest fear.
Right. It's her like being like, everything's awful, but he's a good communicator. He's a good guy. He's this.
No, it's like you find him annoying.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the problem she has is that like from the outside in, this is a great catch.
Right. And I don't think that means that like women will like, I think this is an extreme case of that. I think most women will be like, our personalities are not compatible. Like that's what I would have thought on a date. Like we're not getting each other versus like, okay, I think maybe a more gray area conversation would be like, he's not a great texter. It's a little annoying, but like everything's going great, but I don't like that he doesn't answer me for however long. Right. And maybe you might look at that and say, well, if you don't dump him, it's because you just want someone to fill that space of boyfriend.
But that's
and
different.
someone else might say, no, she really likes him and she wants to make it work. This doesn't sound like she likes him. Like there's a difference between someone doing something that like makes you feel anxious or makes you feel a certain way, and someone doing something that's like, I don't like your personality. This is a guy's personality.
Right. And I had my brother and I, when we would talk, he would always get mad at me for like relating things to comedy. And I would say to him, I go, listen, this is the only thing I have it to relate it to, you know, like, and then like, if you would explain something, I would try to find other ways, but like,
but you like your brother.
Right. And I think he likes me. So like, I was like, no, but like, I think over time, like I was like, do you see why I related to this? I'm like, I'm just trying to like help you through your thing. Like this seems different where it's like, he's just going off on a story about, like, it feels like he's trying to fill the space, you know, like it might be that take any empathy to his side of it. It's that he's nervous and just trying to fill the air and trying to relate.
Yeah.
But
no, I don't think inherently either side sounds like they're right or wrong. Unless he's really not listening to anything she's saying. Whatever it is, they could clearly find someone who's better at communicating in that way for each other. So dump him.
Dump him. Yeah. Can you imagine you're talking to someone? Yeah, I had a really tough day at work.
I'll tell you, I had a job once.
Yeah, that'd be annoying as shit.
Yeah.
Let's play some games.
Let's do it.
UUP at Betches.com, UUP at Betches.com, red flag or deal breaker. You ready?
I'm ready.
This is a response to November 20th episode, red flag or deal breaker, about having one set of cutlery. Okay. Tip for the girls that I was reminded of listening to the November 20th red flag or deal breaker about the dad only having one set of cutlery. When I was on the apps a few years ago, my biggest hit prompt on Hinge was, prompt, a cause you're passionate about. My response, men having a full set of pots and pans. Such a great convo starter. Pulled in dudes defending their one fork lifestyle. Great guys for casual dates. And guys agreeing who could probably cook you a meal and were ready to go home to mom and dad. Love, an air fryer doesn't count, bitch.
What do you think of that prompt?
I like it for the reasons that they gave. I mean, if you
Starts a conversation.
Right. And the person that says, I like that prompt puts a guy in a position to like be positive and fun.
Right.
Because I don't like.
Because that cause your passion. That's a fun way to answer. Cause you're passionate about.
Right. It is fun that you have a full set of pots and pans.
Right. It's a little less of an I statement, though, as you don't
yes, I guess, or no, but I guess cause I'm passionate about is that men I date have full sets of pots and pans. So I get it is a little you, but I like it for if you go put that down. I didn't like it at first, defending the one fork lifestyle. Like, good for casual dates, I guess. Like, I kind of eye roll that. Like, I do think you say, like, this prompt, the only people I speak to are the men that are like, I take pride in having a full pot and pan and I love to cook. Mm-hmm. That's a great,
right.
And I
it's
do
like, it's a good way to,
right. I do like how they've sussed that out. The idea of like, oh, that's one for fucking the one cutlery guy. It's like, I think that's a waste of your time.
But although I kind of do feel like it might be correlated with a guy who's not looking for anything super serious.
Oh, I agree with that.
Right.
But I think talking to that guy,
right,
and thinking you're like, for most cases, if you're there, like the idea that you're like the one that comes back with pots and pans, he's a catch, and you got to bring him home to mom and dad. If that's what you're looking for, that's what you're looking for. Like keep that in mind.
Fair.
All right. What do you think?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's a good prompt.
Yeah.
I had a recent date with a couple aspects that could probably be red flags / deal breakers. First, let's take them one by one.
Okay.
First, he asked me out, but there were no definite plans until the last minute. It ended up with him asking me to find a restaurant in an area and send him the address. I also found, let's start with that one.
That's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Hey, want to go out? You find it.
I hate that. Yeah.
It's annoying.
Could you pick a rest? If the person who asks should pick the place,
right.
Do the research. We love plans. There's nothing worse than a guy with no plans.
Right. He asked me out.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Takes the entire buzz out of the date.
Right. Hey, want to go out? Yeah. Okay. Great. All right.
Pick a spot.
Hey, I've been like busy. Can you just pick a spot and send me an address? Like,
that's It starts off the date in a bad way. Plus, you're paying. You pick some place you're comfortable paying for.
Right. And you think this guy's going down on you?
No. Okay, so that's deal breaker.
Out.
I also found out at the time that he was driving from over an hour away, which was a little flattering that he wanted to drive that far to get together. For reference, I had to drive a half hour towards his direction.
This person has made himself your problem. No, hold on. How did you find out that he's over an hour away? This is the thing.
They clearly are trying to meet in the middle somewhere.
Well, if you match on a dating app, it's because you have all the information that you have in front of you.
Right.
To find out later that he's over an hour away and then not picking a place that's close to you, like these two things go together.
Well, that kind of makes more sense that he wants her to pick the place because he's coming towards her, I guess. Like,
yeah, but
even the area.
Even then you go, hey man, if you're in the lesser place, if you're in Long Island trying to date someone in Manhattan, if you're in Ohio City trying to date someone in Cleveland,
right,
or whatever it is, like someone from there is going to go, Ohio City's better. Okay. I'm just saying, you're the one asking them out. You go near them. Like, I just don't like this idea that like everything's 50-50 with these people that are like traveling over an hour. Like,
right. If you're the one in the better city.
Right. You change your location to be in a more populated area. This is the price you pay for getting a cheaper living space.
This is why Jared doesn't date out of his borough.
There is no way in hell over an hour away that I would date someone over an hour away. And I'm there all the time. Well, no, you're not.
Right, then come here.
Because it becomes my responsibility.
Right.
I'm there all the time. Let's get together Tuesday.
You think Jared's just gonna date someone where he has any responsibility?
Fuck no.
When he asked for the check, he paid with a $100 bill. I did offer to pay.
Chris Pendo.
I mean, that doesn't bother me.
It's not that bad.
He got the change and told the server it was wrong. He thought the change should be 70-something. How did he think 3 drinks, an appetizer that he ordered, and 2 meals totaled less than $30? The server had to explain that the total was over $70, not the change. That's a little awkward. He also invited me back to his van that he will soon be living in as he travels the country. I declined. So no wonder he drove to her. He's in his home. So red flag
He
or
doesn't
deal.
live an hour away. He lives,
He lives
2
where-
minutes away.
He lives anywhere you want him to live. Red flag or deal breaker to all the above. Yeah, this guy is not in like serious relationship mode, I would say.
I always love when people ask you a question they already know the answer to.
Right.
Like, this is a horrific match. And,
Yes.
I think you're the deal breaker, to tell you the truth.
She kept going.
Yeah, like there's a point where it's like, when do you not want to be the victim? Is kind of like my question to the emailer. Like, at what point is your time?
Well, it's like she went out with him
value?
again.
Okay, fair.
She just wants us to commiserate over her.
I know. He
bad
asked me out. No
experience.
definite plans. Okay, hey man, I don't think I can go out with someone
At
who
least
asked
he
me
paid.
out. He did pay. Here's 100.
Yeah, no definitive plans. I'm trying to think. Do you think it's okay if someone asks you, because I'll play this out in a realistic way. A guy will be like, "Are you free on Tuesday? Let's grab a drink."
Would love to.
He says this on Thursday. You're like, Thursday of the previous week. You're like, great, love it. It's Tuesday morning.
Hey, what's the plan tonight? That's what I would text if I was the woman.
Hey, what's the plan? Or even before you text that, he says, "Hey, where do you want to go tonight?" Says this Tuesday morning.
I'm up for whatever you're up for.
All right. I'm not really sure. Why don't you meet me? I get out of work at 6. I'll be in Midtown. Do you want to meet me around there and we'll figure it out? I've had that. I've had this. I've had this happen.
I would say, I'm not looking to walk around. I'm going to be coming from work. Just tell me where to go. I would keep hitting the ball back.
Right.
I always hit the ball back.
Just tell me where to go.
Just tell me where to go. I'm down. Okay. Glass of wine, couple of fries will do me right. I keep it fun, positive, but also I am not milling around Midtown.
Right. Taking a walk.
Searching for a place to go.
With you.
You just tell me the name of the place. We have Google Maps. I can put it right in there.
It's a nice positive way to say it.
What's that?
The way you just said it. I'm not, what did you just say?
I'm not milling around Midtown East. Hey, I'm coming from work. Give me a space. Give me a place and I'm in, but just tell me where to go because I'm coming from work and I'm really excited to see you tonight.
Right.
But
tell me where to go could be like my office. Tell me the bar. Tell me the rest. Tell me the bar you want. Tell me the office. Tell me the. Why don't you meet me at 48th and 5th? I'll be getting out of work. We'll find a place from there.
Is 48th and 5th a bar?
No, that's my office. So we could find some place right around there.
Hey, I am not going to an office building. I appreciate that you're out of work. Maybe I can meet you a half hour later at a place that
you've
is
chosen.
Close and chosen. This is how I date.
Yeah.
Like there's a point where it's like, I don't need you. I'll be fine tonight.
Yeah, you have to be willing. You have to state what you want to be willing to lose the date.
I'm better off without 2 glasses of Sauvignon Blanc.
I still remember the time I was wandering around Midtown.
And I've been the guy.
No plan.
Right. Yeah. I've been the guy leading the tour with a big flag on the end of my backpack. This one woman just led around and it feels horrible.
Yeah.
And it was because, again, I make reservations now for every date.
Right. I mean,
every
after
date.
this was like a 23-year-old guy. So
right.
Fine.
At 23, you're going to make this mistake.
Right.
I mean, in the same way, everyone makes mistakes at 23.
Agree. Pick the
if there's a 23-year-old guy listening right now, make reservations for every day. Just don't even.
Doesn't have to be that nice. Doesn't have to be like amazing.
It
doesn't have to be the hot space that's hard to get into.
No.
Just have a booth.
The idea that you had a reservation is like you're winning.
Yes.
Like I'm just
the least you could do.
It is literally the least you can do, and you can do it on Google Maps. Like it just says reserve right there. You can like press the button. You don't even have to call. Like it's like someone younger is like call. Yeah, you used to call.
That's how we did it in our day.
I'm 100 years old and I have nobody.
Yeah, that would have been helpful to me at 23.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's do one more.
All right.
J&J, I have a red flag or deal breaker or just a need for advice. Got into you guys via Betches and Jared's Bachelor recaps and have been converted to a full-on fan. Thank you. See, these recaps do a good job. I apologize to tell you that I'm unfortunately a marathon runner. So you probably wouldn't like me, but that's okay. Why is it that we wouldn't like? No, I think I know I like a lot of marathon runners.
Yeah, Mike has run the half. I've discussed this.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's just you're unbearable afterwards.
Yes. Just don't be that person.
Just don't go to a bar with your tinfoil blanket on and expect me to go, congratulations.
Even if he's dating you. Would you make a sign for a woman that you were dating?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's
But
good.
it would totally embarrass her.
It would be like not like
It wouldn't be
She wouldn't want
romantic.
it.
She wouldn't want it. No.
Okay.
It would be a picture of her like sleeping.
on the toilet or something.
Yeah, taking a
Okay.
shit.
Yeah.
I actually went to one of your comedy shows the day after I ran a marathon as my big night out. See, I'm trying to find a reason to bring it up. I have a classic issue. I have been with my boyfriend for 4 years. Think we're going to get engaged soon. Perfect in every way. Hot, lawyer, owns a house, yada, yada, yada. Except he is the biggest weenie when he gets sick. He has a cold this week, and he is so mopey and sad. This is pretty out of character. He's usually really communicative, has a lot of friends. We go on a lot of trips. We travel a lot together. He doesn't complain, literally just when he's sick. As a dramatic bitch myself, I get it. And trust me, when I am sick, I am the biggest drama. But when it comes from him, it's such an ick. I am clearly aware that I have a double standard for this. In general, I don't feel like that strongly about gender roles. I also have a great job, but I love to cook and take care of our house, etc. But this one really makes me feel crazy. I tried talking to him about it once when I was pretty frustrated and essentially said, I start to spiral and think how you will take care of children if this is how you handle being sick.
Oof.
Wow. Long story short, wasn't received well, and I apologize.
Good.
Yeah. This is the first time he's been sick since. Next time he's sick. And listening to him complain and mope is such a turnoff. This email is hilarious. And let alone him texting a group chat saying, I'm sicky poo.
Ooh, that's the worst part. That's the worst part.
Or I have a bad case of the sniffles.
No.
Not as bad as sicky poo, but pretty bad.
Sicky poo.
Sicky poo.
Is that ironic? I don't know.
He sent it to a group chat?
That's tough.
These are people you have to make eye contact with? It's embarrassing, and it makes me spiral about the future. Anyways, my strategy for now is to dote on him while I can and as necessary. And then when I get super annoyed, I just leave him alone. Is this a red flag for him or a red flag for me? How do I deal with this? Help, anonymous PETA. Pain in the ass.
Okay, I don't think she needs to break up with him. Finally, we've said one.
Yeah, I think stay with this guy. This guy seems good.
I think she can stay.
I think he should break up with her.
Yeah. I think she needs to let it go. This is one where I will say this is an annoying thing that he does. She can be annoyed by it. She can make fun of him when he says I'm sicky poo in the group chat.
Right.
She could say like, you got to stop doing that. But like,
she should write back, my vagina's dry poo.
I also think, grand scheme of things, like she needs to just get over it. This is a classic example of like, this is relationship compromise. Sometimes something someone does like is really annoying and you don't like it, but like just move on, breathe through it, move on with your day.
Right. Well, a couple things. I agree with you. I don't know how I am when I'm sick. I don't think I'm this.
Are you ever sick?
No.
Have you gotten COVID yet?
Sick is for losers.
You gotten COVID?
Never.
Never.
How do you get COVID if you never get tested for it?
That's true. Say that about everything, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor the other day, actually. I went for my
Physical?
cardiologist appointment.
Oh.
So,
How was the heart?
well, I got to go get some tests to make sure that I'm okay. My dad had a heart attack at 40.
Oh, wow.
So that's like one thing. My
Yeah.
grandfather died of heart disease. So like that's one thing I do go to the doctor and like keep up
You're
with.
on top of
or
it. Okay.
Not really. I tried more than everything else.
Okay. Are you okay?
No, I'm dying in 3 to 6 months.
Is that how you're telling me through this email?
this is it. No, this is I wrote in about. No, I don't know. I guess in the same way I am with the therapy, this kind of comes full circle. It's like a rub it off and we'll move on. I'm not saying I'm not a baby. I'm a fucking baby.
Well, I don't know what you never gotten sick, so I don't even know what you'd be like.
Who would know?
Right.
So here's my thing with her. Here's the thing that like hit me, and I'm sure her boy, and this is why it turned into a big fight. I don't like when I do something and then it's extrapolated out
Yeah.
and correlated to this more horrific thing.
It's not a fair way to fight.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
He's a baby when he's sick. Leave it at that. It's okay to be turned off by that. It's okay to be like, you're a fucking baby whenever you get sick. Like he probably knows that. That's like a fun relationship argument.
Yeah. And I know why she does it, but that's not really why it's annoying to her. It's annoying to her because like you don't like the way you don't like that terminology. It kind of like feels like a little like emasculating.
Right. He's
fine.
Comes off like a toddler and you're not really into him.
This doesn't how it doesn't affect how he deals with sick kids.
Right. Well, that's the thing. She's trying to fix it by making it and this is again, by
making it a larger like fundamental issue.
Right. And this is what happens on the internet. Everyone wants to win these fights in the comments section and they go from like, that joke wasn't funny to it was problematic. And this is what you're doing. You're trying to win.
Yeah.
You're trying to change him, like force a square peg through a round hole. And it comes off really badly.
Yeah. And this is who he is. And that's like sort of like the thing about a long-term relationship. There's many, many positives about it. The negative is that like sometimes like something someone does is like really irritating to you.
Right.
And again, unless it's like irritating to you every day and you're like constantly thinking about it and it's like ruining your life. This kind of thing is like, all right, just like breathe through it, move on with your day.
He could say the same thing to you. You're not very nurturing. How are you going to act when we have kids? Are you going to like throw them in the garbage?
You're going to make fun of our kids for telling you that their ummy hurts?
Right. You're going to like not like them anymore? So I think this is my feedback to her or our feedback.
You got to fight fair.
Yeah, fight fair. And like, it's okay to call him a baby and to say that, I'm sicky poo makes me dry poo. That's fun.
You could say, listen, like, could you not use that terminology? It's not my favorite.
It's sticking with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think like that's I don't think this is a deal breaker. Like,
not at all. If this was a deal breaker, I think you deserve to be alone.
Right. Why'd you break up? He said he was sicky.
Well, just like the idea that someone you're with for 4 years is gonna have absolutely nothing about them that you're like,
right.
This is really annoying. Like this is really annoying is like a thing that you sometimes feel around a friend, around a relationship, around anyone.
Right. And I'm closer to her than him. Mm-hmm. Like when I've been in relationships and someone's gotten sick that I'm dating, I'm not really that helpful either.
I'm not that helpful either.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason there's a comedy podcast.
Right.
We're not helpful. We just talk shit.
Right. And if someone was like, "What do I do?" I'd be like, "Do you want to go to the hospital?"
Doctor. Right.
That's my go-to.
No, my move is also like I don't want to talk about this anymore unless you've made the doctor's appointment.
Right. We're not going to bathe in your sadness.
Right. Make the appointment. You can complain twice a day. I'll ask you. I'll check in once or twice a day. But like, that's what we're doing here.
I mean, it's going to suck when they have kids because like the sickness like runs through the house though. It like never goes away.
She's got a bunch of sicky poo people.
Right. And maybe the kids become more like him and not like you. So just everyone's a complainer.
Yeah.
Sick. Or you said you're dramatic too.
Yeah. She wants to be the dramatic one. It seems like she doesn't want to like.
Well, she sees it as a feminine quality.
That's her issue is that it's a mess. But you know what? Again, like everyone I feel like people are icked out by the Phil Dunphy character.
Yeah.
I've talked about this a lot. You're icked out by that guy. And then when you're married, you're like, that's actually like a good dad and husband. You know what I mean? He's not like too cool.
Right.
To be.
I would say,
You would say icky poo. I would say Phil Dunphy.
Yeah, totally. All right. We solved dating again.
We did it. Proud of us. We'll be back
on Friday. Boom.
Bye. The U Up podcast is produced by Belle Roman and Candice Maniga. Edited by Belle Roman. Social media by Candice Maniga. Guest booking by Ali Friedlander. VP of podcast is Chris Allen. And be sure to follow U Up at u.up.podcast.